Good evening, I'm Lia Lando. Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with breaking news. Century Safe announcing plans late this afternoon to close its Pittsford plant. The company says at least 350 jobs will now move to Wisconsin and Mexico. Employees telling us the move shocked them. This will take effect in June of 2016. In a statement, the company tells us the move is designed to keep them more competitive. We are talking to Pittsford town leaders and employees. We will have their reaction coming up on News 10 NBC at 11 o'clock tonight. Hundreds of you are sharing this on our Facebook page. The Humane Society is trying to find the owner of a dog after he was found with a collar embedded in his neck. A local rescue group found that dog named Wyatt yesterday on Ridgeway Avenue. Rebecca Fack joining us now with the very latest on the search for the dog's owner. Items found in a northern New York cabin that police say are linked to the two escaped prisoners. The latest shift in the search for the killers that is now in its third week. Right now on Rock City Tonight.
Live from the News 10 NBC studios in downtown Rochester, this is Rock City Tonight with Lia Lando.
Good evening, I'm Lia Lando. Thank you for joining us tonight. The search continues for two escaped killers on the run for more than 2 weeks now. Over the weekend, the focus of the search for David Sweat and Richard Matt was in the town of Friendship, New York, about 80 miles south of Rochester. The search shifting, though, today to Owl's Head, not far from the Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora and on the edge of the Adirondack State Park. Officials say they found items in a cabin, and now that area is the site of an intense manhunt.
We're investigating a lead in Owl's Head area of Franklin County, New York. We have developed evidence that the suspects may have spent time in a cabin in this area. We have law enforcement officers from around the state and around the nation here today searching for more evidence.
State police say law enforcement officials started pouring into Franklin County last night after being contacted by the owner of a cabin about 20 miles west of the Clinton Correctional Facility. Investigators reportedly found DNA from both of the killers in the burglarized cabin.
We have recovered specific items from that cabin. We have forwarded them to the appropriate laboratories and reached conclusive determination, but we are not prepared to release that evidence at this time so we do not jeopardize the continuity of the investigation.
Law enforcement officials say a witness saw someone running into the woods in that area Saturday. Today, officials are searching by land and air with helicopters and ATVs, looking for Richard Matt and David Sweat.
Over the weekend, we investigated leads of possible sightings in Steuben and Allegheny County. As of right now, both sightings remain unconfirmed.
But police are investigating every possible lead.
Other than what's been reported and confirmed by an arrest, we have no definitive evidence that anyone else is assisting them, but we are certainly not ruling that out, and we're looking at all avenues at our disposal. And police tonight urging residents in Franklin County to be on high alert, saying the two are a significant threat to anyone who may come into contact with them. We will, of course, bring you any updates on this story as we get them and continue to follow it very closely. Here are the other stories that we're following for you tonight. A contractor working on a downtown road project drowned today after falling into the Genesee River. Officials say the 35-year-old fell from a workboat and was trapped in the current near St. Paul Street in the inner loop. The president of the Pike Company calling this accident unprecedented and said grief counseling is being offered. A 70-year-old man was killed in a crash involving a tractor-trailer today. This happened just before noon on Mount Read Boulevard under the 490 overpass. Police say the man was pronounced dead at the scene. The tractor-trailer driver was taken to the hospital. No word on his injuries. The cause is under investigation. The University of Rochester under investigation for how it handled a sexual assault report. According to the Huffington Post, a former student claims she was assaulted last October by another student, but when she reported it, she says the school discriminated against her. She says she was also physically restrained by campus security during a panic attack.
News 10 NBC starts right now.
Right now, relatives and friends are waiting on the return of the body of a fallen soldier from Orleans County. Army Sergeant Shayna Schmiegel died last week in a training exercise in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. She was just 21 years old. Her body is expected to arrive at the Buffalo airport. Lynette Adams is in Buffalo right now and joins us live from there. Lynette? It was an emotional day in Charleston as thousands of people, including the president and first lady, gathered to remember the 9 victims of the attack on Emmanuel AME Church last week. President Obama delivering the eulogy at today's funeral for Reverend and State Senator Clemente Pinckney, one of 9 gunned down during a Bible study. News 10 NBC continues in just a moment.
Kevin is back with your full forecast for the weekend. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us. I'm Scott Kilberry.
And I'm Lia Lando. At this hour, police have still not released the name of the victim, but here's what we know about the crash. Webster's police chief says a woman was driving northbound on Holt Road, that's near Shoemaker Road, just before 4 o'clock today. For some reason, the chief says she went off of the road and her vehicle hit the man. Police say the man was walking down the road before the crash happened, and officers were on the scene reconstructing the crash for several hours tonight. Police are urging anybody who may have witnessed this to call 911. The Flash looking to close their homestand on a 3-game winning streak, taking on Chicago tonight. Abby Wambach and Carly Lloyd in the starting lineup together for the first time all season. Scoreless until the second half. Chicago breaks through first. A beautiful pass to Lori Shalupny, and she does the rest, puts the ball in the back of the net. The goal gives the Red Stars the 1-0 lead. The Flash answer back quickly. Pass from Brittany Taylor is headed in by who else? Abby Wambach. Her 4th goal in 3 games. Ties the game at 1. Then off the corner kick. First the ball goes off Brittany Taylor's head. Then McCall Zerboni using her head. That is the game winner there. The Flash win 2-1. We talked to her about how important this win was. So as you notice, Kevin Williams is back, and I missed him so much that I decided to get him a cheesecake blossom from Cheesy Eddie's. Actually, it's National Cheesecake Day. Yeah, I heard. And Cheesy Eddie's is here. Yeah. We're going to interview them in just a few minutes.
You're cruel.
And I'm giving this to you.
Know I can't. You know
but
I
you can't eat it because you have to work. And it's so nice and cold and fresh.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm going to just, I'll let you know how it is. You
would you do that?
Yeah,
I can see you out of the corner of my eye.
Because I love you so much, I will let you know.
It's great. Oh, you were really eating it. You weren't supposed to. You weren't supposed to. There.
It's very good.
Is it good?
I need a few more bites.
Good.
Carry on.
Thank you very much. If there better be something left when I get back, that's all I can say.
From the News 10 NBC studios in downtown Rochester, this is Rock City Tonight with Lia Lando.
The widow of murdered Rochester police officer Daryl Pearson reached out to us because she says she has a message for the public. Hear what she has to say about death threats against her family. Plus, the Northeast battling everything from flooding to snow and ice this evening. Find out how it will affect our area right now on Rock City Tonight. We're following breaking news tonight. Major developments today in the search for 2 prison escapees in upstate New York.
Police confirmed that one of the escapees, Richard Matt, has been shot and killed. The second, David Sweat, is still on the run.
Also tonight, an investigation is underway right now after a body was found in Lake Ontario. We're told that body was discovered around 5:30 this evening just east of the Irondequoit Bay. That's where Lynette Adams joins us now live tonight. And Lynette, what is the latest with this investigation? Now on to our other top stories. A local daycare shut its doors early, leaving families scrambling to find childcare. At issue is a close-to-home daycare in Irondequoit. The owner has been in business since 2009, and today we learned the daycare had several uncorrected violations. We have much more about this on our website, WHUC.com. Nevada-based Allegiant Airlines says it will start nonstop service from Rochester to Fort Lauderdale, Florida this fall. The discount air carrier announcing the new service today. Starting October 9th, it says it will offer nonstop low-fare flights to Fort Lauderdale. Allegiant also offers service from Buffalo, Syracuse, and Elmira. A mother is accused of leaving her 12-year-old son inside the car for 8 hours while she was gambling at the Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack. 34-year-old Nikki Jenkins Fluitt is charged with endangering the welfare of a child. She was issued an appearance ticket and will be in Farmington Town Court at a later date. A major victory for President Obama's health care plan. The Supreme Court upholding the decision to provide coverage for millions across the country. The impact of this ruling right now on Rock City Tonight.
Live from the News 10 NBC studios in downtown Rochester, this is Rock City Tonight with Lia Lando.
Good evening, I'm Lia Lando. Thank you for joining us tonight. A monumental decision on our nation's health care today. The Supreme Court justices upholding the nationwide tax subsidies that help millions of Americans pay for health insurance through President Obama's Affordable Health Care Act. This impacts a lot of people right here in our area, and right now, more than 2 million people across New York State are enrolled in the healthcare exchange program. We begin tonight with NBC's Steve Handelsman and a closer look at this big win for the Obama administration. Here are the other top stories that we're following for you tonight. New information on the wife of a senior Monroe County official accused of driving drunk in a county car. We learned Megan Fiesel was a county employee for almost 7 years before leaving her job in February. Police say she was drunk when she was pulled over driving the county car assigned to her husband, Justin Fiesel, the chief spokesman for the county. The prison guard who's charged in connection with the escape of 2 murderers says he let one of the inmates have access to a catwalk that they later used to break out. Gene Palmer told police he also gave them tools and says he helped them in exchange for paintings by one of the inmates. The search for Richard Matt and David Sweat is nearing 3 weeks now. We're told inmates at another correctional facility in New York planned an escape. The Auburn Correctional Facility has been on lockdown since last Friday. According to the Auburn Citizen, officials were tipped off about the inmates' plans. A spokesperson says the prison has been searched and inmates right now are being questioned. It's Monday, and that means we're talking about the weekend already.
Yeah, exactly. We're on the same.
We do that, yes.
Yeah, and we're thinking good things about the weekend, just like this past weekend. Though between now and then, Leah, we're going to pay the price.
Across town, the Red Wings were in action for the second of a 4-game series against Charlotte tonight. Pedro Hernandez getting his first start for the Wings this season after Minnesota called up P.J. Walters, and he was sharp early, striking out 6 batters through 4 innings. And the Wings took the early lead. Cleet Thomas in the 3rd inning crushes the pitch to right. It's a solo home run. His 7th of the year made it 2-0 Wings, but it wasn't enough. The Knights scored 3 runs in the 7th, including 2 on this Brent Morel double into the corner and right. They had 1 more, beating the Wings 4-2. Supporters say it could save the lives of children with seizures. Medical marijuana is coming to New York, and Governor Cuomo wants it available sooner than later. We'll tell you what he is doing to make that happen and why supporters say it's critical for children who are suffering right now on Rock City Tonight.
Live from the News 10 NBC studios in downtown Rochester, this is Rock City Tonight with Lia Lando.
Good evening, I'm Lia Lando. Thank you for joining us. Today, the governor sent a letter to the state health department saying the medication should be available to children sooner than the 18 months that medical marijuana is expected to take. Cuomo says he is acting after hearing from concerned parents of epileptic children. He also says the recent deaths of 2 children show the need for medical marijuana to treat seizures. And tonight, Rebecca Pfaff tells us why medical marijuana supporters say Cuomo can do more.
We are here live in New York City at the Sheraton Hotel on 53rd and 7th, where they have been working hard all day setting up this ballroom. As you can see behind me, the stage is set where in just a matter of hours, Cuomo and Duffy are expected to deliver what many believe will be a victory speech. The energy is really starting to pick up here in New York. Earlier today in Mount Kisco, that's Westchester County, gubernatorial frontrunner Andrew Cuomo cast his vote. You may recognize the woman with him. That's Sandra Lee of the Food Network. Cuomo, whose father Mario was governor of New York State in the 1980s and 90s, he's been involved in politics from a very young age. The Democrat has steadily risen up the ranks. Now, if Cuomo wins tonight and is able to turn New York State around financially, many political analysts say he could be considered a presidential candidate in the future.
Today is what counts, and these polls are just guesses. You know, nobody knows who's going to come out to vote, and that's why it's important that for democracy to work, you have to come out to vote.
Meanwhile, the Democratic candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Rochester Mayor Bob Duffy, voted today in Rochester with his family. He cast his ballot along with his wife this morning at School 46. The former police chief, now mayor, could very soon become your next lieutenant governor. What's first on the agenda for Bob Duffy if he becomes lieutenant governor? Cuomo says Duffy will serve as chair of the Upstate Business Advisory Council and work with public and private development organizations. Although Cuomo and Duffy have been leading in the polls, the latest showing them ahead by 25 points, the candidates have not been taking that lead for granted. Rich and Janet, the stage is set inside the Sheraton Hotel here, where thousands are gathering for what they believe will be a victory speech from Cuomo and Duffy tonight. Now, many of you will agree that this race has certainly been a very interesting one to follow. Republican candidate for governor Carl Palladino delivered a stunning upset against Rick Lazio back in the September primary.
Lia Lando is live at the Wegmans on Lyle Avenue in Gates. to explain how this could make a difference in your diet. Leah?
Yeah, it certainly could, Janet. Basically, they just want to make it easier for all of us to understand how much fat, sugar, and calories we're all eating, and I think a lot of us agree that we're a little bit off. Let's take these fat-free Fig Newtons, for example. A serving size here is 2 cookies. Well, we did a little bit of research. I had Gary Stanley, my photographer, eat how many that he usually would. He ate half of the container here. That's 6 servings, so it makes you wonder, you know, how much am I really eating? Take, for example, these marshmallow treats. When I pour a bowl of cereal in the morning, I fill it right up for the kids. Sometimes they have 2 of these bowls. A serving size here is 1 cup. This is around 2 cups. So probably the most noticeable change with these proposals would be how a serving size is described. Right now, you might think you're eating low-calorie and low-fat foods, but are you paying close attention to what the label says is 1 serving? For example, a soda may break down calories based on 8 ounces, but in reality, the bottle has 20 ounces of soda. And we spoke with a childhood obesity expert from UR Medicine about one of the most popular products for kids.
But when you get into flavored milks, the flavoring is added sugar there. And that's one of those areas that becomes very difficult, because even when you lower the fat, some of the flavored, even no fats flavored milks have as much, if not more, calories than whole milk. So you think you're doing the right thing as a parent. I'm giving them low fat. This looks like it's going to be, you know, a decent option. And the reality is it's a wash.
Now, another change that you will notice here is right here on this extra churned light ice cream. And it lists the calories from fat there. Now, this proposal would get rid of that line, because experts now know that it really matters how many calories you're having and the type of fat that you're eating. But again, the biggest change here would be the serving size, because the serving size of this ice cream is a half a cup. I don't know how you are when you serve ice cream, but I usually do at least 3 scoops. So we're well above that. Excuse the mess here. So if these proposals, if this goes through, if it's approved, then companies would have 2 years to adjust these labels based on what the recommendations would be. Janet?
Good information. We are still shaking our heads over Gary eating a whole sleeve of Fig Newtons.
Right.
I think she's joking. She had to be.
Sharon Schechter was last seen outside her home. She's a mother of 3, and her minivan was found in Gates a few days later. Today, Lia Lando spoke with Sharon's mother, who is still holding out hope that someone will come forward with information about her daughter. Leah.
Yeah, it's really a heartbreaking story, and the fact that Christmas is right around the corner makes this anniversary even more difficult. But even though so much time has passed, investigators told me today they're still actively investigating this as a missing person homicide case.
13 years for all this.
It's been 13 years since Sandy Poole's only child went missing, and not a day goes by that she doesn't think about her.
The last time that I saw her was at the Christmas party. She had a Christmas party, and the Saturday night before, you know, she kissed us all goodbye.
And after all this time, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department is still investigating what happened to Sharon Schechter, a mother of 3 who at the time was going through a divorce. She went missing on December 9th, 2001, and her minivan was found days later outside a Gates motel with blood inside.
There was some blood evidence inside the vehicle that was tested by the lab and did come back to be Sharon Schechter's blood.
Captain Michael Fowler says this started out as a missing persons case in 2001, but a few years later was determined to be a homicide investigation. We spoke with him about the latest developments. Is there anything new in this case?
Well, we do continue to develop some information.
Have you spoken to the husband?
The husband at the time, Alan Schechter, retained an attorney, so over the past course of these 13 years, we've been unable to speak with him.
Despite that, he says they continue to look for new information.
There's a considerable part of the extended family that's been very cooperative. Sharon's side of the family has been cooperative, and we continue to speak with them, even as recent as this year.
Sandy Poole is just hoping for some closure.
I just want them to know that she's still missing, and if they know anything, to please come forward. That's the best I can say. Somebody's got to know something out there.
Please say if you have any information about Sharon Schechter, please call 911. Scott?
Well, Leah, do investigators think after all this time that there's still possibility this case will be solved?
Yeah, they say they're always hopeful, and they stress the importance of keeping cases like this in the public eye in case people remember something or know something about Sharon Schechter and decide to come forward with that information.
All right, Lia Lando reporting live with our report tonight. Thank you for that.
You're watching News 10 NBC.